All right. Good morning, everyone. We are going live on TikTok and we are going to be doing a photo session debrief. These are all going to be completely raw photos. So these are just straight off the camera. I haven't edited these. I haven't even looked at these myself. So I'm going to see them right as you're seeing them. And we're going to kind of see if there's any photos that I took that were worth talking about yesterday. Oh, excuse me. So I got a new lens. I got a Canon RF 100 to 400 with a 2 times, um, extender on it. So it's an 800 millimeter lens, so pretty huge. And so I wanted to find something to take photos of. I originally went looking for some birds, maybe some rarer birds or some nice looking birds, and I could not find any birds. So we had to settle for squirrels. So here we are with some squirrels. And these photos are apparently in no particular order because this is not the photo that I took first. So I don't know how my camera determined that this is the first photo, but here we are. Maybe this is the last photo I took. No, this isn't the last photo I took either, so who knows. So let's talk about some flaws and some good things here. Absolutely adorable pose. I absolutely love this shot here. We got how can I make it show my cursor so that you guys can see that? I would like you to be able to see my cursor. Sorry, still getting used to the live tools here, so bear with me a few seconds while I figure that out. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're just going to be talking about some photos that I took. These are going to be ones that happened. These are all completely raw. I did not alter these in any way. I did not do anything. These are just straight off the camera. So, I guess this will be, I'll use a markup rather than a thing, so maybe that'll work. Let's see. Here we go. All right, so obviously that's pretty awesome to catch him with the nut in his mouth. That's pretty cool. You can see kind of back here. We've got what's called the bokeh, or people call it different things. I prefer bokeh. It's that very blurry, out of focus, smooth. It's a little rigid. You can't tell what's behind him at all. You can see a little bit here, and this could just be due to this photo being super blown up. This isn't as sharp as I would like it to be. This is very not blurry, but it's kind of gross looking. I don't know how else to put it. So I think that's because of the lighting. I was standing straight under the squirrel, looking almost straight up at it. So obviously the lighting wasn't super amazing. So this could look better. You can see here, I always love this. On his eye there, you can see the reflection of the sun. And I always think that's super cool to have like a picture that's so crisp and so clear that you can see the reflection of the sun on the squirrel's eye. I think that's always really cool. Welcome in, Juan. Thank you for joining. You can see a lot of details in the fur, like down here somewhere. Let me circle it. You can actually see a flaw on his fur, like there's a spot, like either a little bit of blood, pitch, maybe like a bump, something like that happened here. So the zoom on this lens was quite amazing. The fact that we can see that sort of a flaw from how far away we were is pretty cool. Um, this looks okay. It doesn't look great blown up, but I think in a smaller photo, this would look okay. So overall, it's an okay picture. I like the pose, but I don't like a lot about it, so I probably won't end up using this one at all. And so I take photos in bursts, so you're going to see a lot of these. A lot of these are going to be very similar photos because I was trying to get like the perfect, everything all perfectly in frame, everything looking good. Here, the lighting's a little bit better. We can see that the tree is a little bit better, but he's not quite as in focus like I'd like him to be. So you're also seeing that there's going to be two photos of everything, so you can see So again, these are raw from my camera. This is the raw, and this is the JPEG. My camera does both, so it takes photos in RAW and it takes photos in JPEG as well. So I'm just showing the JPEGs because it's a little bit easier to see because these are, these haven't been edited at all, these haven't been touched at all. These are just straight off the camera. So again, these are okay photos. You can see his claws. You can see a good pose with the nut in his mouth. There's a lot to like here, but a little bit to dislike. So um, this set of photos, I'm very, very happy that this squirrel was posing for me. Uh, this one's not great. You can see it didn't quite focus perfectly on his face. So it's not quite perfect on his face, but um, the way you can see the light like reflecting through the furs on his tail is pretty amazing. Uh, it's a great pose. I love this. Overall, I love this photo a whole lot. So now we'll see if we got one that's more in focus. You can see his little leg here, right here, is starting to uh, pop up a little bit more. And this, as you'll go through the photos, you'll see it happens more and more. He's like really posed super well for me as I got closer. And there's a ton of photos here. Like this is probably the most photos that I took at any point during this because I really, really wanted to capture this pose and capture this squirrel, but I was afraid of scaring him off. So I'd take a step, take a couple photos, take a step, take a couple photos, take a step, take a couple photos. So this one, this one might be so far the most perfect of all of them. So let's talk about this one. So again, up here, you can see the light like going through the individual like fibers of his fur. That's really cool. He's got this soft light all around him. Like the sun was over here to the left, so you can see like this soft sun outline on him, which is wonderful. Once again, on the eye, we have that beautiful reflection. That you can see the sun's reflection on the eyes there. That's absolutely wonderful. You can see like even the detail. If you look in real close, you can see like the slits of the nose. He's got some different coloring around his whiskers. Like really good there. You've got some interesting drama with how this is. You've got like it's a little bit too dark down here. I think that could be fixed in post though. We've got interesting lighting. So you have like direct lighting up here compared to softer lighting down here. It's a little bit darker because the squirrel's blocking it. You've got that sweet blurred out background back here. Sorry to keep circling the wrong place. So I'm very happy with this photo. This one's for sure a keeper, but let's see if there's an even better one in here. Because again, I took a picture, move, took a picture, move, took a picture, move. Let's see what else we got here. A lot of the same. This one's darn near identical. Because again, this camera does huge bursts, so I was trying my hardest to get him before he moved. All right, that one. This one might be even more perfect. The framing on this one I like a lot more. You can still see all the detail. He's still highlighted. You just got a whole lot more with the tree here. Might be a little bit too bright up here in the top right hand corner. You can't really see because there's stuff in my overlay in the way there. But for the most part, I think that'll be fixable. In fact, if you look really closely, this is where I'm blown away with this lens. I'm going to circle it right here for you. Do you see that? You can just see just barely through the light shimmering there. There's a spider web there. Keep in mind, I would say a good 30, 40 feet away from this squirrel. So to see him this clearly being 30, 40 feet away and still be able to pick up these small details, you can see another one right down here. You can see the spider webs right there as well. Like the detail and fine stuff that this lens is capturing is amazing. And also keep in mind, this is on a 2x converter. So this is going to darken my images a little bit. So it's a little bit brighter than this in reality, as well as I'm losing a little bit of that sharpness. So had I not been using a 2x converter, obviously I wouldn't be able to see this far, but the sharpness would have been just a little bit more. But those are the trade-offs, right? When you're dealing with wildlife, you don't always get the most sharp photos in the world because they're far away and they're skittish. Here's where I took a video of it. You can tell, obviously, I didn't have my tripod on me. That was all, handheld. And this is why we get gimbals and tripods, because look at how terrible that is. Now it's beautiful footage. Like, the camera does amazing recording, but not so great to look at when you're doing handheld. That shaky cam, Blair Witch Project shaky horror cam. Can't stand it. These are all no good. The framing was off. This one's about the same. It's a little dark. Let me jump over the JPEG here. So a little bit brighter. Again, it's a cute pose. It's a good shot. About the same as the others. I don't know if there's a whole lot more to talk about here from this photo than the others. I really enjoy this lens, though, so I'm really blown away with it. All right. Definitely a cute squirrel. But let's see something else. Again, burst. A lot of photos in burst. Okay, so here's a little bit closer up on him. The framing is pretty good on this. You can see the lighting is a little bit off right here because I was just shooting in automatic. I didn't have the ability to manually change my settings on the fly while, I'm risking the squirrels running away and all that. So it's a little bit too bright there, but that should be fixable in post. But that's, again, you have the sun directly on him. You're going to get things like that when you're shooting in automatic. So I'm not too worried about it. Super adorable. Super good pose. This one I like. Definitely like the drama the light brings to that, the shadowing. Okay, now we're on to a different set. So let's clear up the marking. So you can see again his hand was moving up a little bit more as I was kind of trying to move from the side. I was trying to get him dead on, so I was moving a little bit to the left to try and get him more head on if I could. This guy was, frozen like a stone. I don't know if he saw me and was like afraid of me and just trying to play like he was a piece of bark or what, but as you can see, there are a lot of photos here. This one I really like. I really like this photo. So let's talk about all the things that I really like here. I draw in the wrong place again. Here we go. This is something I love. His ears are so thin that you can actually see like the light coming through his ears. You can see the difference the light's making there. That's super cool. You can see the reflections once again in the eye. That's again one of the things I'll always point out is one of my favorite things. You can see the reflections in his eye. His mouth's a little open. You can't see any teeth, unfortunately. But you can see like the hairs on his nose. Like we're close enough now where you can see the individual little hairs on his nose. Absolutely adorable. Uh, his you can't see his claws too well. You can see right here it's a little dark, but you can see like the talons. Like you don't think about, but squirrels have talons, right? He's got a whole bunch of like little claws right in there. All right, let's see if this guy does any better for me. I know he moved around a little bit, but I think there's a few more good shots in here. Centering's a little off. Centering's a little off. Now, see, I was taking pictures while I was moving, so this is one that didn't turn out super well from me. You can see there's a lot of blur here, and that was my end. He wasn't moving, it was me. So that happens when you're moving and shooting. These all turned out nice. I'll probably only save like one or two of these photos. They're so similar, there's no point in having all of these. But I'd rather take multiple photos and get the shot than miss the shot, right? Thank you so much for the likes, Honky Tonk. Welcome in, welcome in. So these are all similar, kind of different poses. Here I was experimenting with a little bit more reach. I was using crop mode on my camera to get in even further. And you can actually see inside of his mouth in there. Welcome in, Potato King. You can see a couple teeth in there. So that's how close where they actually see his individual teeth. But everything else is kind of the same as the last photos. Still, he let me get super close, and the lens performed super well. These ones are all blurry. Again, I was moving, taking photos. It happens. Nothing interesting. These are all kind of the same. So I tried taking a video. You can see, we're close enough. You can see him breathing. You can see like his sides moving in and out from breathing. It's pretty cool. Again, I didn't have my tripod, so this is all shaky cam. He looks directly at the camera. Super adorable. Now that might be a pretty amazing photo. Let's look at this. I'm really digging. You can see like each fine individual hair is pretty awesome. And if you look at the eye, sometimes you forget like eyes stick out of the head on some of the animals, right? So you can actually see his eye bulging out a little bit there. Pretty awesome. Really great with the lighting. Again, you got the smooth background. You can see this is a tree, but it's out of focus, so he really pops. This is a really good one. That's a keeper for sure. Got a few of these photos. We'll see if there's any that are better framed. Nope, we're on to something else here now. So what do we got? So this is a different squirrel, I believe, running up and down a tree. This one, not so much the squirrel, even though he's cute. There's not much here, but this one I'm really interested in here. You can really see the detail on the bark and the moss, which is always super interesting to get. So very happy about that. Probably nothing good here. Oh, that's kind of cute. Not the best photo, but looking up there is little eye closed his eye. He's got that soft outline still. You can actually see a little bit right about here. You can see a little bit of motion blur because he was moving. So I must have just caught him blinking, which how fast does your camera have to be to catch an animal blinking, right? Pretty awesome stuff. So I don't think I might keep this photo. I don't think this is a great photo that I would do like I wouldn't submit this to a magazine to win or anything like that. But it's a nice photo to have just for me. Thank you so much for the likes, everyone. I appreciate that. Welcome in. But I like the motion blur. I like that we caught him blinking. Pretty cute. Let's see what else we got. There, his eyes open. They're all framed decently well. I just don't think these photos are interesting, so I don't really think I'll keep most of them. This one, he's got a really cute look looking at us, but again, what I'm mostly interested in is right here. Look at that. You can see such detail on that moss. You can see the different colors in the greens. You can see where, it's getting more light, or more light. Different levels of green. You can see like dark greens, bright greens, new growth. Like, hey, keep in mind, this tree is way up above me. I would say I'm probably about 25 feet away at this point, so the detail it's capturing is pretty amazing there. Thank you, Blood, so much for the TikTok awards. I appreciate those. Thank you so much. His face is pretty cute. I'll circle it. I mean, obviously you can see it, but he's got a cute little face. It's mostly sharp. No motion blur in this photo. Pretty good. Pretty good. Probably keep this one. Let's see what else we got here. Few of him looking at me. Few of him looking at me. He started to run away. All right, what do we got here? Not a super great photo. There's a lot of motion blur on this one. We can see, if I can get my pencil here. Come on. There we go. A lot of motion blur there. A lot of motion blur there. He's obviously running, so probably won't keep this one. You can see him. We actually caught him in mid-air there. You caught him jumping, so you got a little bit of an action shot, but I was focused too much here. If I would have been focused over here, I probably could have caught Probably could have caught him, and that would have been a cool shot to have like him still framed and everything else motion blurred through a technique called panning. But I didn't catch that. He was too fast for me, too wily for me. So that one will probably just get deleted. Deleted. These ones are getting there. His face is a little bit out of. That's okay. That's a bad shot, but that's a cute face that he's making right there. That's pretty adorable. So this one I might keep just for that face. Not a great photo, but adorable face. All right, he's getting closer, getting closer. This is about as close as I could get. Again, you can see some great detail on him. Like you can see dirt in his fur there. You can see his snout fully up in here. You can see individual pieces of dirt in the fur. You still have some details on the plants over here. Like it's a good shot. It's a good shot. The camera did very well. This new lens that I was testing out did very well with capturing sharpness on these guys, even being far away, even using extenders. So pretty happy with these. that's that's a pose if I've ever seen one. That reminds me of oh man, I'm gonna date myself right here. This is an old meme, but do you remember early early 2000s the dramatic groundhog? I think it was cool. Like, it was so popular. I think it was on Tosh.0, and I'm pretty sure Ray William Johnson covered it. The it had like that music, and it like zoomed in on its face, and it looked like that. Um, that is that is a pose if I've ever seen one. Welcome in, everyone. I see a few people joining us. Thank you. Welcome in. Welcome in. Enjoy the strange look of this squirrel. I'm pretty sure it's terrified of me. So I think that emotion is either disgust or terrified of me. I'm not sure which. All right. What else we got in here? Got a couple close up shots of him. Now, it looks close up, but again, I'm probably 25, 30 feet away from this squirrel at this point, so he's not in any actual danger. Like, he could climb up higher and get away from me if he wanted to, so. He's a little out of frame here, but again, cute pose, cute look. I don't think he appreciated me. Looking at these photos, I'm pretty sure he wasn't too happy to see me here. Now that's a pretty cute pose. Let's talk about this one. If you look closely at his eye here, you can actually see the iris and the pupil. You can see the coloration, you can see the black of the pupil, you can see the brown of the eye, you can see the different colorations of the ear or the eyes. The ears, you can see the coloration of the sun poking through. These are a little soft, a little fuzzy, because obviously the focus is on the squirrel. It's got cute little nose. The nose is not quite perfect because it's sticking out so much, but someday I would really like it if I could get a photo approved by National Geographic. Like I've sent them a few photos and I've talked to them a few times, trying to get in, but I've never won a photo contest, and I've never been featured by National Geographic, but I really hope to be someday. And I think squirrels are my ticket in because I absolutely love squirrels. I love taking photos of squirrels. So hopefully something like this is something that they would want for something someday. Cute pose. That's definitely one I'm going to keep. These pictures are all garbage. I can assure you of that. As I was walking, there was just this huge band of like 30, 40 crows that were circling and screaming. So I was trying to get some good shots of the crows, just to see if I could like catch them descending on something. But I don't think I got anything worth talking about here. Like, this is just a portion of how many crows there were. They were just like all circling around something and doing that loud screaming and squawking as they do. So none of these are going to be interesting, but I thought it'd be fun to try. Uh, I think this is actually the first shot that I took with the lens when I went out. So again, these photos weren't in order, so I think this is actually the first photo. And like when I looked at this photo, I was honestly disappointed. I was like, I just spent all this money on this camera for this. Like the lighting's not great, which isn't the lens's fault. The squirrel details just aren't there. He's kind of cute, but I was severely disappointed with this. So I'm glad I kept at it because it did produce some amazing photos, but these aren't it. It is cute to see him ripping away at that little. I think this is a walnut. I'm pretty sure those spiky things are walnuts. I'm not sure on that. This Overwatch 2 match is crazy. Is my thing still say Overwatch 2? It's not supposed to say Overwatch 2 still. So you can see him ripping at it, and somewhere in here I actually got a video of him ripping this open, which is pretty good. It still says Overwatch 2, huh? That is strange. That is not what it's supposed to say. Huh. Thank you for telling me. I'll have to check and see why it still says that, because it's not supposed to say Overwatch. But again, these photos are nothing special. I was really disappointed at the lens when I was taking these because these just aren't good. But I definitely learned to use it and learned to make it better. I definitely needed more lighting. That was a part of it. Was this lens definitely needs a lot of light with the extender on it, which is something I was aware of going into it. I don't think I'm going to keep any of these photos, to be honest. Maybe this one. This one's not terrible. It's cute, kind of eating there. You got the soft background, but it's not like interesting, right? That's the issue that a lot of photographers have, especially when you're doing landscape work and things like that. Like, it's not interesting is the issue. I don't think this one's a very interesting photo either. So probably keep it for just me, but I don't think it's like that's again, it's not going to win any awards, nothing like that. This little guy was adorable. He was carrying this big. Again, I'm pretty sure they're walnuts, and he was running around, jumping through the grass, trying to carry it. Super cute. Not great photos, but adorable. But somewhere in here, there's going to be a video of him ripping that open and eating it, which is pretty good. I was trying to catch him mid jump. It was very hard to catch him mid jump. As you can see, none of these turned out as I was trying to move and capture him running with this thing. You know, it's half his size. He's carrying in his mouth. Pretty darn cute. Let's see here. Getting a little bit closer. Mess these up. That one's actually, we're getting closer. We can see a little bit of detail in him. We can see the walnut. Now he goes behind a tree. You can see him starting to rip it open. And somewhere in here, we're going to get a video, I think. Let's see. It didn't play a video there. I know there's a video of it because I saw it. Is it this one? There we go. Again, no monopod or anything, so it's a little shaky, but I thought it was super interesting to see him ripping this little walnut apart to get the nut out. Maybe it's an acorn, I don't know what that nut is, but it was super interesting to see him actually like rip that open and get his little prize. Yeah, he's got a cute little furry face. It was super cool to see him actually rip that open and start eating it. He's such a cute little squirrel. So I thought that was a super fun video to get of him ripping that open. And I'm pretty sure this one's just like him eating it. but I'm far enough away. At this point, I'm like 50 feet away. So, even when you're trying to hold it as still as possible at 50 feet, even minor movements up and down are going to look like this, where it's just shaking all over the place because you really need, a gimbal or a tripod to make it steady. I do love at the end of this video, you can see he runs away because another squirrel goes right by him and scares him. You can just see it flash by in the background for a second. I do not know why that squirrel was doing such things, but pretty cute. Now, so that was all the squirrel photos that I got. Like I said, I was trying to go out for some birds, but didn't get any birds. But I did also do something else while I was out. So, oh, excuse me. Let's see here. We went flying the drone, so I figured it'd be cool to look at a few drone photos. Now, this is not my professional drone. This is the other drone that I use that is much faster. So, this is the one I use for fun, for flying around and racing and fun, things like that. So while I was out and about, there was a couple good kind of shots I thought that I would try. I thought this was super interesting. You can see all throughout here, you're like, oh, is that fog? No, our air quality here in the Pacific Northwest was like the worst in the world for a couple of days because of all the smoke that was coming from. I guess there were some big fires in Seattle. There was some fires down in southern Oregon, in eastern Oregon too. So we were just like surrounded by fires. You can actually see tons of just smoke in the air. Uh, I was trying to see if I could get this to be a good picture. Again, these are all raw, so I'm gonna have to edit these a little bit. I don't know. I honestly don't know if this is anything worth saving. Like, you've got a whole lot of nothing going on. You've got a parking lot over here. You've got nothing but blank space over here. So maybe if I did like for Instagram ready photo, drew and did it 16 by 9 and up and down, like something like that might be salvageable, but overall not great. This is all near the Willamette, so again, not a whole lot to look at interesting here. You've got nothingness here. You've got my blades in the photo over here, and then behind the overlays, you've got some houses and stuff out there. So I'm not certain that it's a great photo. This is the one that I came here for that I might use. I'm gonna have to crop it because again, you can see just barely my rotors are in the photo frames here and here. You can see them, but now I like the Willamette. I like taking pictures of the Willamette. I thought this was great. You got a little bit of the winding river back here. You've got a little bit of the city life up over here. I might have to edit the sky a little bit because this is like, again, when we talk about landscape photography, especially when you're doing uh, drone footage, a lot of your photo is going to be your skybox here, right? And so when we look at this, the sky is basically the same color as the water. So 70% of this photo is just blue, just that. Make it a puzzle. This wouldn't be a bad idea. Especially, I've been trying to get my stuff in the Made in Oregon store. So obviously, here in Oregon, there is a store that specifically sells stuff that's only local, made in Oregon, and like related to Oregon in some way. And like a lot of wineries sell their wine there. I've been thinking about trying to get my postcards in there, but also doing some like puzzles of our area might not be a bad idea. Grabbing the statue of the golden man, things like that. That's actually a really good idea. But so if I edit the sky a little bit to give it some clouds or give it some other colors or other things like that, I can make this photo a lot more interesting to look at by just adding a few clouds or just adding something that's other than just this blue, because this just makes the entire photo too blue and too meh. So we shall see. This was a more straight down photo of a pond, but again, there's it's just not interesting. There's a little bit of city life over here. There's just a whole space of nothing here. I've got a little bit of the skybox up here that looks a little distorted, so I don't think it's a very interesting photo. We've got another parking lot here, so it'll probably be one that just gets deleted. But I'd rather take the photo and not like it than not take the photo and then always wonder, was it a good photo? Was there something I could do on it? Was there something salvageable? Things like that. So again, I'm happy I took the photo. It's no problem to delete photos, right? You can always delete the photo, so you don't have to worry about taking too many photos. I tried to center this one up a little bit more, and all I got was more parking lot. So this one's not terrible. There is still a parking lot here. You can see a little bit of city in there, but then you've got the whole city there. So I'll have to straighten this one up. And again, I might have to change the sky a little bit. In fact, you can see really bad. We were talking about that smoke. Right here, you can see a huge pocket of that smoke. So it might be an interesting photo to be able to talk about that and show that off with the smoke. So you can see the sky is clear. This isn't cloud. This isn't fog. This is just all the smoke from all the wildfires going on in Oregon were all right there. So this one might be better. In fact, you don't have the parking lot there. This might be the best one. I'd probably crop it in a little bit to cut off a little bit of this here, this nothingness. But pretty good photo. You can see some ripples in the water. You can see a little bit of city life. Not bad. Nothing interesting there. This, again, I want to take these photos mostly because you can see all this over here. You can see I took the photo while at an angle, so the entire photo's off. But you can see just smoke, so much smoke in the air. Our air quality was so terrible, but makes for good pictures, I guess. Here I leveled out. You can see how unleveled that photo was. You can see there's a massive difference in that moving and not moving in a drone. These are pretty much the same. This is a pretty good photo of the Lammy. You got a lot more of the city life, not a whole lot of the parking lots. Not bad. And here you've got a little sandbar, a little bit of city. Actually, there's a... I know we're not allowed to do this sort of thing as a drone pilot, but I really want to. You can see right down here. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. Oh, there we go. Right here, you can see there's an opening to like a bridge or a tunnel, and I so want to like strap a flashlight to the drone and fly through a tunnel, or there's a bunch of abandoned mines here in Oregon. I would love to be able to fly my drone down a mine shaft and explore them that way, because they're not always safe for humans to walk into, especially when they've been abandoned for that long. But the drone can't get hurt, so I really want to fly the drone in an abandoned mine shaft one of these days. Here's hoping I'll be able to. You can see I lose a lot of pixels as we start to zoom in, like these terrible quality photos, because the drone camera is not the best. But we can still see. I'm pretty sure it's like the safe way off of West Salem, the bridge. So pretty happy with how these photos turned out. It looks like we still have a little bit of time left. So something else I did. This is a tip I got off of TikTok, actually, which is when you go and do photography, strap a GoPro to your camera so that you have B footage, basically, of you taking the photos. So you can see right here. Let's see, can I pause? So those photos that we were just looking at of the squirrel, you can see right down here, that is the squirrel that I was taking photos of. Oops, what happened there? There we go. Well, now it's not wanting to cooperate. So that's the squirrel right down by that tree. So it's really cool to get to have this footage, because I plan on taking this footage and then being able to put it next to the photos. So like, here's what you would see, and then here's what the camera saw. So you can see I'm lining up a few shots with it, putting the lens out a little bit to get a little bit closer to him, walking up to him. And I think this is the one we'll see. Let's see. You should see the squirrel maybe hopping here, I think. Or did I move on here? Hard to remember. Oh, yeah, this is where the squirrel was hopping with the little walnut, and he was climbing up a tree, and I lost sight of him, so I couldn't get him anymore. We should see. You can barely see the squirrels on the GoPro because they're so small and so far away. There's another squirrel right here in the middle of the screen that's taking pictures of. You can see one kind of moving in the background there. What I'm really hoping is in one of these we should have the statue squirrel probably in here. Let's see. Up in a tree, up in a tree. Ah, here we go. So those photos that I was showing at the very beginning that had like those great shots of him, this is how far away I was from the squirrel. You could just barely see him up on the tree branch there. You can see just the outline of him just barely on the lower tree trunks there. And so this was, again, I'm going to take some of this footage and be able to cut out, like, this is what you would see as a human, and this is what you see through the camera, and like the difference between using different cameras, different video. You can just see the lighting went amazing though here, like the sun beamed down on this squirrel. It was truly, truly meant to be for me to get some photos of this cute little guy. And you can see this is where I was talking about, like, I would take a burst of photos and then I would take a step closer and then take a burst of photos and then take a step closer. And I'm trying to maneuver myself a little bit to the left so I can get a little bit more like head-on shots with him, but I didn't want to scare him off because as soon as he ran, like this entire shot would be ruined, right? I wouldn't get another chance at this. So I was very careful with take a few shots, move a little closer, take a few shots, move a little closer. And I don't know why, but like my heart was racing. Like this got that adrenaline of like, oh, I'm creating art here. Uh, if you can't see it, there's still a little blob of the squirrel just barely visible in the branch. But like if you didn't know the squirrel was there and you were just like looking around quickly or moving on, like he would blend in so well with that tree. Like it's so good at camouflaging. You should be able to see him a little bit now. His head kind of sticks out a little bit from the tree if you haven't noticed the squirrel yet. But he actually let me get fairly close. This is about 10, 15 feet away from him. This is where I can get those super close-up shots on the squirrel. But this technique is really awesome. So if you can afford the extra gear, throwing a GoPro on top of your camera, allowing you to capture video while you're also capturing photos is just, it takes your stuff to the next level. And it's especially good for like wedding photography. Being able to take pictures and do video at the same time is really helpful for people who want like B-roll or like the behind the scenes or different things like that. And it's really interesting for things when you want to do things like this where you're taking still photos but you want to make content with it. As we've talked about as photographers in the past, you don't have a whole lot of opportunities to just show off your photos. People don't necessarily really just enjoy looking at photos as much anymore these days. It's all about the short form content. So, you either have to make a video showing how you edited it or, a funny story with it or something like that. So having the video gives you a little bit more. You can do like perspective. You can do a whole lot more with what you want to do and get it out there a little bit more. I'm sad that I missed out on the heyday of Instagram when Instagram truly was just sharing photos. Because it's a bummer you don't get to just share your photos and share your passion, but there are ways to do it. It's got to be in short form content. It's got to be TikToks now. It's got to be short videos with education or some sort of value adding to it. No one just wants to look at a picture of a squirrel anymore. And I kind of get it, right? It's the same thing as like going to work and the lady or the guy pulling out the trifold and here's 20 pictures of my kids. Like they're not my kids, so why do I care? It's kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, it's a squirrel, but but who cares? It's a squirrel, right? So I think that is it for today. That is all the footage I got while I was out testing this lens. Again, these were all raw photos right off of the camera, so I will edit them up at some point, and then I will post the results so we can kind of see the unedited versus the edited and talk about it a little bit more. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. I really appreciate y'all coming in and hanging out with me. Hopefully, we'll be doing some more lives. Probably we'll do some Overwatch or some of the farming game a little bit later today or tomorrow. I don't really have much more photography to talk about, but I always enjoy getting up here and talk about photography because that's my passion. So, thank you everyone for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you all soon.